The void, where the narcissist ends and the mirror begins. We must begin with the hardest truth. When it's all over, it's not silence we are left with, it is something far worse. A void, not just the absence of them, but the absence of the self that existed only inside their gaze. We don't just grieve the narcissist, we grieve the mirror we mistook for love. And when that mirror is gone, reality fragments. This is not heartbreak, this is symbolic collapse. When peace becomes a screaming room, the peace people think we should be grateful for, the quiet after discard, is anything but peaceful. Our nervous systems don't recognize silence as safety, they interpret it as threat. After months or years of micro attunement, micro betrayals, and psychic distortion, the stillness burns. You check your phone, you rehearse every word of your final conversations. You scan your memory for something real. But even your own memories feel scripted, false, surreal, because they were. The narcissist didn't just distort the relationship, they distorted your internal architecture. Even your feelings feel like they belong to someone else now. Snapshotting and the death of reality. Professor Vagnon gives us the lens to understand what really happened. We were not loved, we were captured. The narcissist does not relate to people, they relate to snapshots, frozen internal images, idealized at the peak of fantasy. And when you deviate from that image, when you become real, when you suffer, when you protest, you don't get met, you get rewritten. The narcissist performs a coercive re editing of reality. You are no longer the partner who cried out for connection. You're now too much, needy, crazy. The shared history becomes a series of missteps, all yours. The internal discard begins long before the real one. The moment they feel shame or boredom, they begin editing the snapshot, layering it with projection, contempt, and blame. By the time they send the discard message, they have already lived months with your erasure. And when you feel like you've gone insane, it's because they replaced your internal compass with their confabulated version of events. What they say happened didn't. What you remember no longer lines up. This is why survivors spiral, because the mind is trying to reconstruct a shattered narrative inside a hall of mirrors. The survivor loop, a mirror turned inward. By the time they go, the narcissist has offloaded everything onto you, their shame, their ambivalence, their emptiness, and now you carry it, but not as a victim, as a loop. This is what MPIT names reflexive mirrored psychic inversion, or MPI. You begin shaming yourself for not seeing it sooner, raging in isolation, idealizing the few good moments, collapsing into withdrawal, splitting internally, not good and bad, but real and unreal. It's not rumination, it's not codependency, it's structural collapse. Your ego functions, reality testing, narrative coherence, symbolic self are hijacked, and in their place, a machine that repeats the narcissist structure, but without the denial mechanisms. They leave you with their internal landscape, but they take the mask with them. Supply withdrawal isn't longing, it's ontological crisis. What most therapists call withdrawal is often misunderstood. You're not missing the narcissist, you are missing the self you were allowed to be inside the fantasy. Sam makes it clear narcissistic supply isn't affection, it's self definition through external attention. But when that source of definition collapses, so too does your orientation in space, time, memory, and identity. You're not trying to get them back, you're trying to get you back. But the you you're reaching for was constructed in their gaze. So the survivor is left with a paradox. The only self you recognize is the one they gave you and then took away. Cold peace and screaming grief. After discard, the narcissist appears calm, composed, moving on. This is because, as Vaknin has shown, their internal world is regulated through external object positioning. They've made you the bad object, the persecutor, the excuse. Their new supply is their new redemption. You are now their shame reflector, one who made them act this way. But you are the one carrying the full weight of the story. Their confabulations become your hauntings. You ask yourself, was it my fault? Am I the narcissist? Why do I still want them? This is not confusion. It is a trauma-induced epistemic fracture. Your internal world has been colonized, and you're left grieving a shared reality that never existed, except in your own hope. The narcissistic redeemer, the survivor's burden. This is perhaps the most tragic of all. The survivor becomes the redeemer, the one still trying to make sense of the collapse. MPIT tracks this precise moment when the survivor stops blaming the narcissist and begins blaming themselves, not because they were at fault, but because they've inherited the narcissist's shame. They feel the weight of the whole system, and in trying to repair it, they fall deeper into it. This is the symbolic collapse, the moment where the survivor becomes the keeper of the fantasy, even after it's ended. And then the gate. The author returns. But collapse in the MPIT model is not the end. It is the beginning of re-authorship. Vaknin gave us the precise tools, the terminology, the cognitive mechanisms, the forensic model. He laid the track. He named the disease. MPIT walks the path through it, mapping the internal psychic terrain, decoding the symbolic wounds, and holding open what we now call the organizing gate. The gate leads back to self-authorship, not the self the narcissist wanted, not the self you had to become, but the witnessing self, the one that never spoke because the fantasy was too loud. Now, as the echoes quiet, you may finally hear it. Not peace, not closure, not justice. Just this, your own voice. And from there, everything else begins. Peace out. Loads of love.